And we're live. Welcome, everyone. It is Lord Kalbardr Geiler, and I am joined by my lovely co-host for the evening, Kisa.
Hello.
We are going to hang out for a few minutes here. We got it's 5 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time. We're going until 5:05 to actually start the class. Let everybody kind of join in. I see some folks in the comments already. We have Kaid, Meridies, and Aidenvelt, and Anstiora. So 4 kingdoms already. I'm excited. So I'm ready to hop on the live feed here. Will everybody kind of join in? We'll babble. So I had to drag Kisa in here to help me today because nobody else to play. She was gardening. Was very unhappy that I had to drag her out to garden.
I have a tunic thrown over my gardening clothes currently. Just for y'all.
It's one of the benefits of having multiple people living in your house. You can just drag them in your live stream when you need them. Mm-hmm. It was easier to grab her than Sifa because Sifa's actually making masks currently, so I figured the mask went out over the gardening.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Feichin is here. He just finished his segmented cups class, so I'm sure he's covered in sawdust right now and glue and God knows what else, but glad he's joined us. Make sure to keep an eye on my Facebook here, make sure nothing's popping up.
I was just talking to Sifa about needing her to null-bind me some cat ears, so they'd be a bit more appropriate for event wearing and whatnot.
That's true. That's true.
Or if anybody has any other ideas to period accurate cat ears.
I mean, okay, so this is a class we need to work on because they wore animal masks.
True.
We do it a lot. We can find it all in Norse culture. Wore animal masks. A lot of the Asian cultures wore them. Yeah. So I mean, so you could. I'm sure somebody at some point wore just cat ears or just animal ears or just wolf ears as a fun thing. I'm sure that happened. That's a project we should work on, Kisa.
Well, maybe whenever I do my history of cats, that can be an off branch.
Yeah. History of cats, and then do a history of animal masks.
Of animals in clothing.
That'd be a fun one to do for a kids class too. The kids would enjoy that, I'm sure.
They would. I plan on doing the if Gatalop gets to happen, I plan on doing the Viking felt masks that I found, animal masks, and having the kids make it for the Halloween party that I'm hosting.
Oh yeah.
So for the kids, I'm in charge of the kids' Halloween party. Oh yeah, wet felting.
Yep.
That's what the masks that I found were. That's how they were done. I don't know. I'm assuming. I know they were made from felt.
Yeah, wet felting makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I see we have a Dame Ebersberg from the Middle Kingdom. Welcome. That's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kingdoms. Good job.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to read any of these names. I got Jolene. Yeah. I can do that one.
That is Lady Juliana Draper from Kaid, however. If you
okay. Yeah. I was looking at the bottom.
Right.
Okay, well,
yeah,
Juliana is also an easy name. I can do that one. I can do Lady Caitlin, Honorable Lady Caitlin, yeah.
The risk, okay, I'll stop. The risk of harshing your mellow. It appears that separate cat ears are a 19th century thing. Oh no! All right.
Well, animal ears in general.
Now we have a challenge, Casey. We have to document it to period.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen now. Challenge accepted. That's actually, and again, the problem is it's one of the things that's plausible that they did it because they had other animal masks.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding the documentation because it was likely done by children, likely done as a goof, so it wasn't written up in the annals of history. Like nobody documented that because some goofy kid put cat ears on. Like that's the part about what we do in society.
I also go by cat, but just in Old Norse, Kisa means kitten, and Koter, my last name, means cat. So my name is actually Kitty Cat.
She's a little obsessed.
A little bit. Just a little.
If we have a cat and a Katie and we have all sorts of cats in here tonight. All right.
And one day I shall create the Order of the Toe Beans.
Yeah, I've been told I have to either Kisa or I have to win Crown List at one point just so she can officially create the Order of the Covians.
Yep.
All right, it is 5:05. Let's do official introductions again. So, greetings everyone, welcome and welcome. I am Lord Kalbardr Gyler from Osprey on the southern coast of Meridies. Companion of the Meridian Cross, companion of the Argent Lamp Osprey and Reaper. I'm joined by my lovely co-host Kisa.
Hello.
She has none of those fancy other things behind her name. She is just Kisa. But she's amazing nonetheless. So I dragged her in here to help me do this class this evening because somebody has to play with me. And nobody loved me enough to play with me. So, today we're talking about Mancala. Mancala is whereas like when you say chess or checkers or Go, for instance, it's generally a singular game. Chess is a bit of a category, and checkers can be a category, but Mancala is very much a category of games. Because it was a popular game, but it was not a very hard game. It spread throughout cultures throughout history, and has popped up, and is even still being played today in coffee shops and in some of the various like tribal things, the island nations, things like that. But it's literally anything that is a board with divots, cups, holes, and beans or pebbles being put in them, seeds, that sort of thing. The number of holes, the number of beans, the number of seeds in the holes, and the total number used is what changed. And then some of the rules about how you picked them up, how you distributed them, and how they moved would change. But the game itself follows the sort of box of principles, which is why it's a category. The names also, so Mancala is the sort of overarching that you would find the most. Kala, Mancala, with the apostrophes in it. The spelling is very, but Mancala is the one. In the handout I provided, there are 4 or 5 variants of Mancala that are very similar. All of them use a 6-hole board, or 6 per side, so 12 holes total. Some of them use a 7-hole variant where it has the 7th scoring hole. So it's not really a hole proper, but it is a hole that's used. And that does change the counting as far as how it works. If you only have 12 holes versus 14, it changes what counts you would go where when you move from one side of the board to the other. So it's a very simple game, and that's why I think it wasn't as popular. So you look at games like chess and Go. Chess and Go were used from bringing from the warfield to the nobility, and they were games of prestige. So when you were good chess players, you were somebody important. Even looking at our society today, one of the traits of a peer, traits of a knight specific, is to be good at least be able to play chess. Not be good at it necessarily, but be able to play chess. Because that was a sign of nobility and was a sign of proper upbringing and so forth. Mancala was a coffee shop game. It was a street game. It was what was played in the bars, and it was very common to be played because it was so easy to maintain, and so easy to get pieces for, and that's the largest difference we see. So a lot of games we see like this, Nightman's Morris, even back the early days of backgammon, because they're so easy to reproduce, they become a common man's game. Whereas games like chess, Senate, Royal New York, the pieces in the board were much more extravagant and much harder to come by, harder to put together a game for them. So the earliest documented for Mancala is like the 7th century Egypt. Again, that's the earliest documented. That is not the earliest played. We know that for without a shadow of a doubt that they played this probably before then. It's the earliest example we could find of an excellent example existing. I think there's a board out there somewhere that exists. I always like to give a caveat to my classes. My classes that are focused on the playing are much more focused on playtime and run and rules of the game, not necessarily history. I don't delve into the excellent examples. I don't delve into some of the dig as much as you could because I'm focused on playing. So I'm going to go through a couple of the variations I have in my handout here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen so we can see it. Let me do that. Bam. Let's do that one. So Halusa is the first one, and a bit of a reference here. I have 2 main references for this that I pulled just because they're good references. This is the Master Solomon the Corpulent, Medieval Games. It was reproduced by Brandon's Quiet Press. It's an amazing little book. Got some good documents in it, good documentation. Someone did a great job with this. I also use R.C. Bell's board and table games. This is a 2-part book reprinted by Dover. And everybody out there who just heard me say Dover and cringed, it's okay. It's a good book still. Dover just reprinted it and bound the 2 volumes into one. So if you have time, pick up these 2 books. They're really great books. A lot of the information I pulled come out of these 2, with some sort of digging around and other things as well. All right. So Halusa is the Mesopotamian version of Mancala. It uses a board with 2 rows of 6 holes. And the boards, I'll show mine. So this is a board with 7 holes. So it has 7 holes per side and a scoring hole, so actually 8 total holes per side. So it's a little larger, which is why we're not playing on this one tonight. Because most of the rules I've found from period come with usually a 6-hole variant, not the 7 or 8-hole variant. This actually was a board I got from Guam. My parents and I lived there when I was a very young child. And this is actually bought from one of the islanders there and carved in their market. So, neat thing. And it uses cowrie shells, or little cowrie shells, instead of seeds or beans. Anyway, so Halusa uses a 6-hole variant, so just 6 holes, no scoring hole, and it used beans. So again, you're going to see different counting methods for this. Most of the games use anti-clockwise or counterclockwise method of sewing the holes. When I say sewing, so if you were to pick up the beans from this hole, you would then drop 1, 2, 3. That's what I mean by sewing. Is you move along, dropping 1 in each hole until you run out, and then where you end that movement. Oh, hi! I have a cat. Where you end that movement will then determine whether you get to play again or whether you score or capture tokens. What? Come on, come talk. So with Halusa, if the sewing ends in a hole on the player's side, so you have 2 sides to the board. You have your side and your opponent's side. So if your sewing ends in an empty hole on your side, or sorry, in a hole on your side, and the number is even, so the number in the holes is even, then you capture those stones and move them into your score pile off of the board. If you end your turn with all your holes being empty, then the other player has to make a move to add something to your board. And some of this will make more sense when you see us play. We're going to play here in a minute on Board Game Arena, so you'll kind of see some of the pieces moving. But at any point, when either player is unable to make a move, the game ends. So the game goes back and forth, moving pieces from your side around the board, always starting on your side and back. So Halusa is a very simple variant of this. Each hole starting with 6 beans. You'll see 3 beans, 6 beans, 4 beans. You also see a random number of beans, depending on the start mechanic. So that one uses 6. Mandoli was very similar to Halusa, played in Greece. Again, different names, very similar game. Biggest difference in that was that captures can be made on either side of the board and not just on your side of the board. Generally, capture can be made on your side of the board for Halusa. Moving down to Bakara, or the Mesopotamian version, a little more complex in how it plays. Hi, how you doing? Good to see you. The board was still 2 rows of 6 holes, but the 7th hole was added to the side for scoring. It's basically just brought the scoring hole onto the board itself for counting purposes. Each player started with 36 beans, and they could put them in any arrangement on their board as long as the end holes, the 2 scoring holes, were left empty. So the starting player, so whoever starts, and it's usually you take turns, would pick up all the beans out of one hole and move counterclockwise again. If the sewing ended in a hole in their own row, then let's see. I'm sorry, I saw comments coming through. Cool. Okay. If the sewing ended in a hole, making the number even. So again, so even odd matters for a couple of these. They would get to clear that hole and the hole opposite of it. So if I ended up with 4 or 6 in one of my holes, I cleared my hole out and the hole opposite of that. Also, if the holes before it were even, as many as I could in an unbroken chain, I also get to pull all of those and the opposites into my scoring hole. If it ends it in an odd hole, or what's considered a loaded hole, which is one with a certain number in it, I'll get to that in a second, the player gets started a new sowing from his own side. See the loaded hole. I'm just adding that rule in here. Yep, okay. I'll have to add that later. If the sowing stops on an empty hole, then the turn ends. So with this, some of them you want to try to score empty holes. Some of them you want to try to score loaded holes. Some you're trying to score making them even. And that's the variant you're looking at. So the neat thing about Bakari and what makes it more complex is you play one round and you keep playing basically until somebody's out of stones. Once all the stones are scored, the next round would start with the player who has the least captured stones placing their beans out first, using basically using the same number of beans. So when you start, you both have 36, so an even number. But you play, and then the next round starts with the placing person with less playing theirs first, and then the other player having to match them. And basically, you keep playing until somebody's out. So that, whereas the General Mancala or the Halusa is a singular game, Bakara takes multiple rounds. Looking down to Arabia, the Arabians use Bengala, I'm sorry, Mangala, which Mangala, Mancala. Again, you see the translations there. 2 rows of 6 holes. They start with 70 beans with a single player, so 35 per side. And the starting player would distribute them unevenly between the 4 center holes. So if you're looking at the board, it would be, well, my board, not center, but like it would be the 4 central holes to a board. They just deposit them in any way they want to in those holes. When you're looking at the sowing rules, again, similar rules, but it's less than 10 that matters. So a heavily loaded hole is anything more than 10. And then you're looking at evens or odds. You have an Egyptian version of Mancala. Again, spelled with it has a apostrophe in it. I'm assuming similar pronunciation. I don't speak Egyptian. Lady Sec could probably help us out with that. But the book Lane's Modern Egyptians shows this variation. Again, it has 2 rows of 6 holes. One player takes 36 pebbles, so looking at that same 3670 number and distribute them evenly without counting. That's one thing you'll notice in a lot of these, in a lot of the games I've seen, you can't ever count the pieces on the board. So you'd have to sort of keep track of what's there and sort of be able to visually look at it, but you can't stop and like pick them up and count them out. So people who have better counting skills would be better at this game, being able to track what's where. All right, for Mancala, for the Egyptian version, the first player take one of the seeds out of the hole and sow them around counterclockwise. If the last pebble goes into an empty hole, then your turn is over. If the last pebble goes into a hole with 1 or 3 pebbles, again, making the number 2 or 4 even numbers, the player captures those pebbles and those in the hole opposite. And then same thing with the preceding holes. If they're 2 or 4, they capture those as well. If the play goes around and you run out into, I have to quote this because it was odd to me. After the first win of a lap, the player can play from any pit on his side of the board. So that makes sense. After the first lap, you can then choose from any pit. You have to start on certain ones. After any other win in a lap, he had to lift the pebbles in the next hole. So basically, once you've scored one, you have to move to the next pit to continue playing. That version ends when one player has none and another player still has some left. The player puts 1 pebble in his opponent's first hole, and they keep playing. So basically, it keeps going until all the stones are captured instead of some of them coming off. I know the version we're playing today, once a player is empty, then the other player scores what's left on his side of the board. And the last version I've got here is a Southern Indian variant, which I found interesting. Mostly played by women, actually. It's a very women-focused version. Not sure why, but it is. It's called Palanguli. This board consists of 2 rows of 7 holes. Now, I'm not sure if that's 2 rows of 7 holes. I'm guessing, based on the thing I read, is that it's 6 holes with the scoring hole. It didn't show a board for that one, so I was interested to see if it was 7 holes with the scoring hole opposite, or if it was 7 holes plus a scoring hole. I think it's just the 6 with the scoring hole. So first player chooses a spot, seeds them out counterclockwise. And each hole starts with 6 seeds. They use seeds. Whenever the player runs out of seeds, he goes to the next hole. So it doesn't matter where he runs out; he just keeps going. And they keep seeding until the next hole is empty. So this is the first player has a lot of work to do because it would keep going until one hole is empty. So there's probably an advantage to going first in that version. If the hole following the last seed is empty and the player scores seeds in the last hole, they go to the next one. They would also keep going, basically keep going until 2 holes consecutively are empty and they run into them. So if they can't gap it, there's a spot there. One of the special rules for this one is 4 seeds in any hole is called a cow, and is immediately scored by a player whose side it's on. So it doesn't matter, turn, out of turn, doesn't matter. If at any point there's 4 seeds in a hole, that player gets to immediately grab them and score them into their scoring pot. At the end of the first round, when one player has no moves, each player takes the seeds from their store and refills their holes with 6 in each. Obviously, there'll be one player that won't have enough. They then block off those holes with a stick or a piece of rock or whatever, and they keep playing, ignoring those holes. So the goal would be to get your opponent down to not enough seeds to be able to refill a board, refill even a singular hole. And it does play until one player can't seed a hole. There you go. So references are listed there in the handouts, and there's also some pictures. So here's some interesting ones. Oddly enough, a lot of ones I found were 7-hole variants. So I did include a picture of those. I like the one with the fish. It's a cool board version. It's again 7 holes plus the scoring hole. The top right one there, again, sort of 7 holes plus the scoring hole. The third one there is 6 holes per side. It's a different shape, which I thought was interesting because, again, the shape doesn't really matter. So you could play that with either direction, play it on the short side, and then use the center scoring hole. So that would be one where the scoring hole wasn't counted, which is one of the like Halusa, for instance, will be using that one. And then the last one down there is a 6-hole with the scoring hole offset, but it's not in the line like when I say in the line, I mean like this, where you would just count around it. So that's that. I'm going to bring Kisa back on, and we're going to play a little. If that's okay with you guys. Hey, Kisa. All right. So you ready to get your butt beaten, Mancala?
Sure, because I have no idea how to play.
That's okay. All right. So the version we're looking at here, I'll kind of go over the rules for it. We've each started with 4 seeds per hole, or 4 rocks per hole, beans, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to pick up the stones from one hole and move them counterclockwise around the thing. Fortunately for us, when we click one, it's going to automatically move them for us, so we don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting here.
Okay.
Your objective for this one is to get the way you score is obviously anyone you put into your scoring pile becomes a scorer. So for instance, if you were to grab the stones out of the bottom right hole there, so you're with the 4 pile, you would pick those up, move them around. One would drop in the far right hole, which is, in this case, I guess I'm looking at my hole. I'm not sure how this counts. Interesting. And then the second one would go in the top 4, and then or the top right, second right, third right. So you would get 1 point. The thing you want to do more is if you can end your last movement in your scoring hole. So for instance, if you were to grab one and you would move 4, your 4th stone drops into your scoring hole. That gives you another turn.
Okay.
Anytime you end in an empty hole, you capture that stone and anything opposite of it. Okay? So for instance, I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go ahead and move first. And I'm going to move those stones. So because I moved 4, it went 1, 2, 3, 4, dropping 1 into my last hole. Now I get to go again because I did that.
Okay.
I will now move these. So start 1 on mine and then go move to your side of the board, dropping 1 in each hole. Okay. It is now your turn. Now most of the variants I've seen, most of the ones in the book, also have a rule for the second player, because they are often at a disadvantage, gets to choose to keep the side of the board they're on or flip the board.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that because it's giving me that option.
Right. So now you get to choose. Now, so I've already scored 2 points.
Yes.
So you can choose to flip the board around and you get to score 2 points, but then it becomes my turn again. So basically, you can steal my first turn.
Oh, I'm going to choose not to.
Okay.
I don't know why.
It's not really advantageous for me to do well in the first turn because then it can be stolen. I did that just to show examples of that. Okay, so you have chosen to do a thing. There are options you can look at. So basically, it shows the counts of your holes on top. So you can see how many spaces it would take to get to your hole. So if you look at one that is 5 from your scoring hole, that would then give you a second turn. But it will also change the numbers in the rest of your holes, so you kind of have to do the math on what makes the most sense.
Okay.
But click a hole, see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I did.
There you go. All right, so yours last one ended on my side of the board, so you pass the turn to me.
Okay.
All right. I am going to choose to go to my second, this hole here, since you guys can see my screen. Because when I do that, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and end me in an empty hole, which will capture all of those.
Oh, I think Naomi wants out of your office.
She does. Here, I'll do that while you move. All right, so it's actually still my turn. Oh no, it's your turn. Anytime you capture like that, it play passes the other player. Out. Go. Go. Thank you. Of course, cats showing up during live streams would not be a good day without cats. Hey, you did things. Look at you. All right.
I did.
All right. Let's see what I got here. We're going to go like that.
Okay.
All right, I'm just adding a comment to the thing here. Just a second. Bam, there we go. All right, so I'm going to do that, which gives me a second turn. And then I'm going to do that, which should capture those. Yep, there you go. So that's something. So you can start looking at some of the combinations and ways to move and where you should do them in. There you go, like that. Well done, well done.
Thank you.
6, 7. All right, we'll move those first. So it gives me a second turn. We'll move that one, which gives me another turn. And then we'll move those, which will just muck up your side of the board. Although you actually have at least one good move there. Your third hole from the left, or in your case, your third hole from your scoring hole.
Yeah, that's why I was considering doing this. My one with 3.
Yep. And then if you look at the one next to you, so you now created one with 2. So you can do the same option as well.
I'll just keep going.
There you go. So I did turn on the empty capture rule. So if we end in a hole that is empty on your side, even if there's nothing on the other side, it still captures the one stone you placed.
Okay.
That's one of the variant rules that's added for Board Game Arena. And I posted the Board Game Arena rules into the under the handout, so maybe able to review the rules we're looking at. You're welcome to do that as well. All right, let's see what I got here. All right, we're going to do that to capture that one, and that to capture those 2. Your turn, my dear. All right, I only have one rule or one move available, so I will do that.
Okay.
Muck up everything there. All right. Let's do that one first. Give me another move. And then we'll do that one to capture those 2. Okay, so I've got 3 stones here, so we're going to move those first to give me another turn. And then any good options, but I do want to put some stuff on your side of the board. Do that actually. Capture those two. Oh, okay. So this one plays 25.
Okay.
So first 25. Gotcha. So had we kept going, the other ending would be when one player finishes their side of the board, the other player scores what's left on their side of the board and gets removed with those stones. Honestly, we play again because we've got another 30 minutes here. So
sure.
Okay. All right, let's propose a rematch. We'll play again. See if Board Game Arena allows it. It likes giving trophies, man. Board Game Arena is the best for your self-esteem. It gives all sorts of trophies for stuff.
So, are you clicking the propose a rematch?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Should have an alert popping up on your screen there. Pull us back down to this. Hey, how's it going? You have any questions? Anything? Mancala is super easy. Like this when I first started putting this class together, I was like, this game's simple. There are 100 variants out there of it. You can find these Mancala boards. Go to your local Walmart when it's not a apocalypse to buy one.
Oh my goodness! All the trophies.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of trophies.
Okay.
All right, cool. Most antique shops have Mancala boards. There's so many out there. I think I will keep my side. I enjoy it. I enjoy looking at these games like this and like Nama's Morris that were simple, non-aristocratic games. Because it does show the common man thing, which is why a lot of them are harder to document because they're not a whole lot out there of day-to-day life stuff. Yeah, because the poor man didn't have somebody to write for him. Let's see that. Okay. Do that, and then we'll do that, and then we'll do that. Which variant of the handout matches this? Okay, so this exact rule isn't actually in the handout. So I found, originally we were going to play on the 7x7, and I was like, well, crap, I can't do that because none of the variants I have to put up there matched. And then I was like, well, I'll play on Board Game Arena because it's a lot easier to do this via stream. But none of those exactly match. The closest version, I think, would be the Egyptian version. I think, no, hold on, give me a second, I'll look that up. Nope, that was a bad move. Handout over here. Okay. Yeah, it's the empty hole. So most of them score based on numbers. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Halusa would be the closest. So the first one in the handout would be the closest to this. This is just Halusa starting with 4 beans instead of 6. Yes, that is the closest. So that makes sense. That. Where can you find a 6-hole board? 6-hole, I think the one that's sold at Walmart would be a 6-hole. Is there any like the Mancala boards for sale? Yeah, if you just search on Etsy or Amazon, lookalike, you can find the 6-hole boards. Just keep an eye like those here. I'll drop a link to this one, which is not currently available, but try to find a better one. There's an example of just one on Amazon you can find. Do that. Yeah. Let's see. What about you, Casey? Any questions?
I feel like I would understand the game more if I was actually the one moving the stones and understanding exactly how they move. I kind of feel like I'm just clicking spots.
So yeah, if you're watching, so you're always, whatever one you click, it moves to the spaces 1, 2, 3, 4 next to it, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch your numbers, here I'll like, so I'm looking at if you're looking at my screen here, I click this one, it moves 2, so it's going to go 1 here and then 1 here.
Okay.
So 2 spaces left. So it always picks up, empty the hole out.
Mm-hmm.
The next space, drop 1. Next space, drop 1. Next space, drop 1.
Okay.
And it goes counterclockwise around like this.
Okay.
So that moves like doop doop there. And then if I move this 1, it's going to go, so it picks up out of that hole, moves to the next hole, which then captures yours out of the other hole.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being able to tactile play this is a lot better. And in days where we're not in quarantine teaching this live, it'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But then we wouldn't have all of our lovely friends from all of the lovely kingdoms joining us. So
that is true.
People on the, out in the YouTube lands.
But we could also, possibly be at events playing this with people from other kingdoms.
That's true, and I suspect there will be a lot more people traveling from other kingdoms. Although this morning I had somebody from Locock in one of the things, which is like Australia, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt they'll be coming over here for many of our events. Although that would be amazing if they did. I would love that.
You never know.
That's true.
No, you're about to win.
Yeah. Well, it'll take me at least a turn. Let's see. Nope. That's game.
Yep.
I'm the best. Also Mario, apparently. Oh, look, I got another victory. It likes giving trophies. It loves trophies. So, there we go. So that's Mancala. I put a link up to Board Game Arena. My camera's super fuzzy. There we go. Put a link up to Board Game Arena. Feel free to jump in there, guys. I'm actually going to be here playing, so if no one's going to play with me, I'm more than happy to jump on with you. See some more comments and see what the comments are. There you go. Cool. This is a neat game. If you've got an Egyptian, Arabian, any of the sort of Mesopotamian, that peninsula cultures, play this game. It'll look super cool. What I encourage with gaming in general is be more in your persona. So if you're a Norse persona, grab Nefertopol, grab Tableau, grab there's like a dice game. Play them. Play games like this. If you're an English persona and you don't play Diamonds and Morris, you're doing something wrong. You're killing me. Play more games. So this is a super easy one. So if you don't have a board, what I suggest doing, let me grab my. Go to Walmart. Grab you 6 bowls. Or, in this case, you would need 12. But grab 12 bowls. And then just line them out. And find you a bunch of rocks. Go to, Michael's, Joann's, the craft stores, and buy the little.
Or your driveway.
Those are like the fish stones you would fit in your aquariums. Those work perfectly. And then you buy them in your kingdom colors, buy them in your local group colors.
Could you also just play this like how you made some of your boards on felt and just draw the circles?
You could, yeah. You could just play it on a piece of paper, piece of leather, piece of felt, and just draw the circles out. That might become more difficult when you have, like in our case, we had like 11 and 12 in there at one point.
Yeah.
That's a little harder. So just make the holes a little bigger, but that would work too. Then you could just roll it up. Maybe if you do that, play with smaller like seeds or beans.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
A piece of felt and some dried beans. Oh yeah.
Oh, an egg carton.
No, I always forget about egg cartons existing because we don't eat eggs most of the time in our household, so I don't think about it. Yes, egg cartons. The Dixie cups would work if you want something cheap. But yeah, you take an egg carton and some beans, and
that would be great for a kids thing.
Right. So there you go. So you're teaching this at Gallup, right? She likes to throw her under the bus to teach classes like this. So,
yeah, it's just great.
Your favorite. All right. Closing comments from you there, Kisa? Anything else?
No, I don't believe so.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it. I would enjoy actually playing and touching the things.
Oh, I mean, we have one back here, so we can play offline a little bit.
Yeah, well, we can once it gets dark. I need to do more gardening.
That's true.
And I need you to come help me.
All right, guys. Well, I think I need to go do the honey-do list. That's what I'm hearing here. So
Yep.
It's been a pleasure. I hope you're glad you all are enjoying us. This has been Kal-bardr and Kisa.
Hello.
Kal-bardr's Corner.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.